and a good morning, a good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good and wonderful people of the tube. Hope you're all today, hope you're feeling grand and all's well in your world. Hello there, right. We're doing a Q&A Wednesday. Let's dive in with question one today. Let's get that. Anyway, question one. I've lost my breath. Okay, question one today is, have you used lace hot gold pickups on a Strat? No, I have not. I've never even heard of them, to be honest with you. Are they like lace sensors? I will just check, because I forget offhand. Yes, like lace sensors. No, I've never tried them. I've got to say that I've never liked lace sensor pickups in any way, shape or form. I've tried so many guitars with lace sensors, all different kinds of lace sensors. I haven't tried them ones though, the lace sensor gold Strats. But I've never liked lace sensor pickups. I've always found them to be really sterile sounding. They never really sounded alive, breathing, living kind of pickup. They always sounded a bit like, it was like, you know, it held back from its potential. I've never liked lace sensor pickups. There's just something about them I've never really got on with. I like the look of them. I think lace sensors look really, really cool, but I never liked the sound of them. I remember when I worked in Old Hat, there was loads of guitars with lace sensor pickups. And there was one particular guitar that was really, really good. It was a black USA standard Strat. And I want to say it was from 98, but I bet it wasn't. But it had 3 lace sensors in it, and they were all 3 different lace sensors. It had been modded. The lace sensors in it, each one of them was different to the other. And it was okay. It was okay. It was a nice... the guitar itself was gorgeous, and it played really well, but the sound always let it down. And I tried a couple of other lace sensor Strats, and I was just like, it doesn't sound right. It's okay, but it's not breathing. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like it was breathing properly, and it was just like... just wasn't there for me. So no, I haven't tried them before. You know, I suppose it's one of those things, and it's like, you know, what works for you works for you. Like I always say, you know, what works for you works for you, and if it doesn't work, then it's not for you, so to say. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I've tried these ones, but I have tried a lot of lace sensor pickups in the past, and I've never liked a single one of them. They just, like I said, they just always sound like they're just restrained, like, you know, they're on a leash. Whereas I find real, you know, not lace sensor pickups, like single coil pickups, like, you know, well, not all single coil pickups, are a bit more vocal and a bit more singy, and they, you know, they just have a bit more about them. But yeah, no, I haven't tried them ones, and like I say, I'm not a really big fan of lace sensor pickups. But yeah, I mean, maybe at some point I might, you know, change my thought on that if I played the right set. But I have tried a lot of lace sensor pickup guitars, and I've just never got on with any of them. Including EMGs. I've tried some EMG like lace sensor pickups kind of things, and I didn't like them either. I think Dave Gilmour I think it was the set that Dave Gilmour had in his red Strat. Were they lace sensors? They were lace sensors, weren't they? I didn't like them either. I think it's something to do with like the noiseless thing as well, because I don't like noiseless pickups either. The like the Fender noiseless pickups, I don't hate them actually. That would be a bit of a strong word, but I really dislike them. You know what I mean? They just don't. Again, same thing. It's just totally like just killed. You know, it's like die tone. It just sounds really muffled, and you have to end up like boosting kind of like, you know, treble and just kind of bring up the brightness to get the snap back. There's no snap to these pickups. And that's what I found with the SSL ones as well. If I'm being perfectly honest, after a while with the SSL ones, I found they lacked a voice. They lacked that snap, lacked a voice. There was no real dynamic to them. They were very kind of like cut and dry. You know, this is what we are, this is what we do, and we don't do anything else. They sounded good, the SSLs, but they weren't what my ear wanted to hear. It wasn't what I wanted to hear, if that makes any sense. It didn't make me very happy, like, you know, sound-wise. So yeah, but like, you know, to each your own, you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, if you like it and it works for you, then that's wicked. If it doesn't work for you, then, you know, you need to find something else. But you do need to try it to know you don't like it. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't want to judge like anything by its colours. Like, oh, I won't like those pickups because, you know what I mean? Because you might. It's like, Because I really think, I've only tried a few, but I really like, not for anything I do, but I think like EMG pickups, the active EMG pickups are really, really nice. I probably would never use them because I don't like active guitars. I don't like the idea of having a battery in a guitar, it freaks me out. Because I know I would forget to change it, and then like the guitar would die mid-gig. But I do like the sound of some EMG pickups. I love the sound of PRS humbuckers. I used to have a vintage Les Paul copy with PRS humbuckers in it, and it sounded gorgeous. But yeah, you do need to try everything. You know, try anything at any chance you get, really, because you never know. You never know. You never know what might eventually work for you. And through trying everything, you get a taste of what you like and what you don't like. So when it does come down to kind of like, if you've got to change the pickups in one guitar, you know what you want, and you kind of know the direction you can kind of go in. So anyway, I think I've waffled on about that enough. But yeah, so I hope it's answered your question. It hasn't answered your question at all, has it? Question 1, I've already ruined it. Okay, so question 2. I'm going to have to move on to question 2, everybody. So... But yeah, I haven't tried the Lace Hot Gold pickups. But yeah, okay. So anyway, question 2 is: does the Revelation RTL59 sound any different with the finish removed, plugged in, or acoustically? And do you have any film of how you went about the process? Okay, so the Revelation RTL59, does it sound any different with finish removed? No, it still sounds as awesome as it did. It just looks different on the front. I don't hear any different. I don't feel any difference with it or anything like that. I mean, I didn't remove the finish on the neck. It was only the top that I got. It was only the cherry sunburst. Excuse me. I got rid of. I didn't get rid of anything else on the guitar. I didn't relic the back or the neck or anything like that. But no, it hasn't changed the sound of it. It still sounds as bright and as Les Paul as ever, really. It just kind of has that real Telecaster on steroids tone. And the one thing I really love about the RTL59 is normally when I used to play my Lemon Drop or my Epiphone Les Paul or any other guitar I used to have with humbuckers, when I would go from my Strat or my Tele or my Jag or whatever to a Les Paul style guitar, be it like the Lemon Drop or my Epiphone Les Paul, you would notice a significant darkening of the sound. Like, it would be significantly darker. The output wasn't the same because I like humbuckers super, super low, but you would notice the sound would be significantly bassier and warmer. And it wasn't a horrific thing. The Epiphone was always way too dark afterwards. Well, not way too dark, but it was always really, really dark. And then the Vintage came along and I was like, that's better. And then the Revelation came along and I was like, that's the one. Because when I plugged the Revelation in, everything just works. It just sounds like a Les Paul, but I don't have to alter the settings or alter my mind to think, right, this is going to sound darker, so when I go back to a Strat, it's going to sound brighter. If you know what I mean, if you ever kind of, if you've done that, if that makes any sense. But the RTL59 doesn't do that. It's really homogenous with with my Telecaster and my single coil guitars. It's just ridiculously awesome. And it sounds loads like my Tele, my Oswald Tele. It sounds loads like that, but it sounds a beefier, bigger version of my Telecaster, which people always say about old Les Pauls is they just sound like big, fat Telecasters. That's kind of like the kind of like the byword of a 59 or a 58 or a 60 Les Paul is it sounds like a meaty Telecaster. So, and again, I like the brightness of the RTL59. Loads of people, not loads of people, a few people have commented saying, it doesn't sound like a Les Paul. It does. Yeah, it really does. It's only modern Les Pauls, I think, are really bassy. Modern Les Pauls, I find, are really kind of woolly sounding, especially on the neck humbucker. Whereas the RTL, it's really got that PAF-y kind of sound, where it's still got an aggression to it. And the thing about that classic Les Paul tone, because if I think about classic Les Paul tone, I think of like people like Peter Green. And there are times when Peter's doing a solo on the neck pickup, you could be mistaken for him using like a Telecaster or even a Strat. It's got that singy vocal, hollow kind of quality to it that Fender has, but at the same time it's a fatter kind of tone in a different way. So, you know, you could be mistaken for Peter using like a Strat or you know, or a Telecaster, but it's actually his 59, and they do sound that way. You know, I've been lucky enough to play some really old PAF humbuckers, some good ones, not the 59 335 ones, which were terrible. They were literally like they were just underwater. I don't know what happened to them ones. It must have been a bad day in the Gibson factory on that day. But I've been able to play some other 58 and 59 and 60 PAF guitars. I remember I've just remembered something. I remember, I'm going to have to waffle for a second. I've totally got off the point, haven't I? Anyway, I'm going to have to tell you this story now because I've started. But I remember, though, this guy bought in a guitar to, when I worked in Old Hat, it was a 1970s Deluxe Les Paul. It was Cherry Sunburst, and it was fairly beaten up. Anyway, he wanted the original pickups. It had been routed for normal size humbuckers. He wanted the pickups he had in it changed out because he'd recently got hold of some double white PAFs from I'm pretty sure they were 59s. Now, anyway, they were double white PAFs. I don't remember what year. I want to say 59, but they could be 60s. They could be 58s. I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway, they were original PAFs. They had the sticker on them and everything. And he had recently got two of them, a neck and a bridge, and he wanted them installing into this Les Paul. This 70s, I swear it was a Deluxe. I'm pretty sure it wasn't a standard. Anyway, so we sent it off to our guitar guy, and he did the job, and he wired these humbuckers in. And when it came back, I have never heard such an amazing sounding Les Paul. I can't believe I've never thought about that until this point. But this Les Paul, these PAFs, it was just the Les Paul sound. They were just perfect. Everything about these. And the weird thing was, again, they were homogeneous with single coils. You didn't have to, switch and swatch settings. You know, they just worked. They just worked together, and it was amazing. The sound of them. Oh, I just remember plugging them into a Fender. And I was just like, oh, you know, you ever get that with pickups sometimes? I mean, it wasn't the guitar that made the pickups. It was the pickups that made the guitar in that case. Because the guitar before was okay. It sounded alright. But when these PAFs got put in it, it was like night and day. Anyway. And it just worked. They were like the settings I always used to have on this Fender amp, the house amp we had in Old Hat, worked on these PAFs. And it just sung. And I'm gutted now. I never got any footage or pictures or anything of that. But that was an amazing guitar. I wonder if Joe remembers that, actually. So I remember me and a guy who used to work for Norman called Ross. We were playing that guitar. And we were just both saying, that's the sound of a Les Paul. That's the Les Paul tone. And it was in these PAFs. It just sounded absolutely stunning. I dread to think how much those pickups cost. But it just sounded amazing. But the same thing kind of with the RTL. I didn't have to alter settings from a single coil to a humbucker. They just worked. It was just a bigger, fatter single coil, basically. It just worked really well. Anyway, and basically all the other Les Pauls in the shop just like couldn't stand up to that one Les Paul. It was amazing. And I wish we had it in the shop for longer, actually. I remember playing... The guy came and got it 2 days after we finished it, and like we were all playing that guitar. He was more than happy to let us mess around with it. And it was just amazing. It was just an amazing sounding guitar. Absolutely stunning. I also played a Switchmaster as well. Is it Switchmaster? It was this massive Gibson hollow-bodied, flame maple hollow-bodied with 3 PAFs in it. Normally it has 3 P90s, but Norman's version had 3 PAFs in it. It was absolutely stunning guitar. Absolutely stunning. It sounded amazing. Anyway... Back to the point at hand, the RTL59. Does it sound any different? No, it doesn't sound any different. It sounds the same. It sounds absolutely gorgeous. Does it sound different plugged in or acoustically? No, it still sounds amazing. It's a really loud guitar, actually. It's quite resonant, and it always was resonant, even with the factory Cherry Burst. It was just it was one of those things that just made me fall in love with the guitar, is its sound and how it felt. I didn't like the look of it, hence I stripped the top, but... It's just a gorgeous guitar. I love that Les Paul. I love that guitar. That has set the bar for Les Pauls for me, of how a Les Paul wants to feel and sound if I was ever to kind of get another one. Or I don't know why I get another one. I'm quite happy with that one. And because I'm not a massive Les Paul user, it's nice to have, you know, it there when I need it, and I know what it will do. Because Lemon Drop's kind of in retirement now. My Epiphone Les Paul's on the wall, so it's kind of like, that's my Les Paul. The Revelation is my Les Paul. It behaves, sounds, feels, plays exactly how I want a Les Paul to. So, but yeah, it doesn't sound any different. I don't have any film of me doing it. No, I think if you saw me doing it, I think you would have cringed, because it did involve a hammer, a chisel, and a heat gun, and it was a case of chipping off the lacquer with a hammer and a chisel. You know, not like the Batacaster, but like, you know, nice and gently prying off the nitrocellulose, the polyurethane lacquer, because it was thick, but it wasn't ridiculously thick though. But you know, it was pretty brutal. But you have to be pretty brutal with sometimes with getting this thing. But I love the way it is now, and I much prefer it to Cherry Burst. I'm not a Cherry Burst Les Paul fan, even though my first Les Paul, my Epiphone, is a Cherry Burst. I much prefer a gold top or the natural or like a lemon drop kind of finish. I do prefer, my favourite Les Paul of all time is a gold top. I absolutely adore gold tops. But like I said, I did used to own one, but I don't want to refinish my RTL in gold. It looks too cool the way it is. I like the way it looks. It reminds me of Paul Kossoff's, and I've varnished it now as well. So the top's varnished. As much as I kind of wanted to keep it kind of just a bare wood, I was a bit afraid that if I ever played it outside and it was really like wet or moisture in the air, it would have an effect on it. So I thought I'll give it some protection and I'll varnish it. So I give it a good 2-3 coats of well, not 2 or 3, about 2 coats of varnish, just give it some protection from the outdoor elements, because I do want to gig it, because it's one of those guitars. So, but yeah, I don't have any future of it. I don't have any footage of it. Would I have any footage in the future? I don't know. It depends if I ever do that to another guitar. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, does it sound any different? No, it doesn't sound any different. It still sounds awesome. I have took the front pickup cover off as well. It used to have a pickup cover on the neck pickup. I do prefer humbuckers without covers. They just sound differently to me. I don't know if it's just something neurotic or what, but I do feel that humbuckers without pickup covers sound better. I don't know if it's just me though. It could just be me being neurotic, but I do hear and feel a difference. But it could just be me. I don't know. But yeah, does it sound any different? No, it doesn't. Not at all. It still sounds awesome, and I love it to bits. That Les Paul is a beast. I absolutely adore it, and I can't thank Revelation enough for the gift of it. It just makes me so happy, that guitar does. Every time I pick it up, I'm just like, it's much in the same way as my Jaguar, which is laid over there. Every time I don't play my Jaguar for a while, because obviously being a Strat fanatic, my immediate go-to is one of my Strats behind me, or another one. But I've got the Harley Benton as my go-to, just plink around guitar at this point in time. I'm loving the Harley Benton at this point in time. I'm absolutely... Now I've got the neck right to where I want it, but I love that guitar. I love that guitar so much. And then the Batacaster came along the other day, and I'm loving the Batacaster as well. Anyway, which is what I've named it, by the way. The Trash Strat on Monday is called the Batacaster now. But yeah, when I don't play my Strats, and I'm like, oh, I'll play my Jaguar, or I'll play my Les Paul, when I go to them, I am immediately reminded of why I love them so much. The Jaguar, I picked up my Jaguar today, which is why I wanted to do the intro jam on it today. I picked up my Jaguar today, I was like, oh, you are so nice. And I picked up my Les Paul the other week and did a jam with that, and I was just like, this guitar is just insanely good. I absolutely love them. Anyway, so I hope this answers your question. I'm going to move on to question 3 now. I think I've waffled enough about that. So question 3. Would you consider putting a guitar course up on Teachable or any other teaching sites? Ugh. The answer would be no, just for a simple reason of... I'm just going to have a drink, sorry. Question 2, dry my mouth out. It feels wrong to charge for that. I like doing lessons on YouTube. I like doing lessons on John Frusciante, Rory Gallagher, stuff like that. Yeah, I can't teach songs anymore, but I can still kind of teach techniques. I'm working on a Rory Gallagher lesson at this point in time. It's going to be like entitled Rory Gallagher Guitar Tricks. Like, I'm just going to talk about some of the things Rory would do with his strat, just to kind of like, to do certain things, like really cool guitar tricks, like, his tapping thing and all sorts of other bits and pieces. So I'm working on that at this point in time, and that'll be, hopefully I'll get that done in the next couple of weeks. But because I'm able to do it for free on YouTube, it feels wrong to all of a sudden go to another platform and say, if you pay this much, then you get this lesson. Whereas it's free here. I'd rather do it for free. I don't like... It feels like a cash grab. If you know what I mean. It feels like a cash grab. It feels very... Like, if you want this information, you'll pay for it. You know what I mean? It feels wrong. It actually makes me feel wrong. I don't like the feel of it. So, would I put like a teaching course up somewhere else? Yeah, but it would have to be free. Because it is free here. You know what I mean? I'm not... I don't like... It just feels weird. I don't know. I can't put it into words, but it just feels like, it's almost... Like I say, it is almost like a cash grab kind of thing of like, I can teach you how to play in the style of this if you pay this. I think there's far too much of that instead of kind of like... Information like that, I think, should be shared freely. If you want to make money off teaching, then that's cool. And I don't mind doing that in, like, in certain respects. But when... This is really hard to explain. I totally get it, but certain courses, like, it's like when you see guitarists say, like, if you want to learn to play like this, I've got a course on my website, but you have to pay a subscription of £10 a month and this, that, and the other. I get why they're doing it, but for me, personally, internally, it feels wrong. If that makes any sense. Especially because YouTube is such a accessible, free platform. If you're going to start putting out free lessons, and then all of a sudden charge for it, it feels a bit weird, that does. It's like, it's like if, if all of a sudden I started charging for my John Frusciante series, you've got to pay this amount for the next lesson, but otherwise you don't get to see it. That would feel wrong. That feels massively wrong to me. Because I've done so many lessons where I like to share this information freely. Because it feels weird for me to charge for it. Because I feel that it just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. It's just really hard to explain, but I hope this is making sense. Because a lot of people have said, why don't you put lessons up for sale and stuff like that? And it's like, I could, but then I feel like I'm kind of alienating some people, because some people might not be able to afford it. You know what I mean? Some people might not be able to afford like a subscription to this or this and the other. And I don't like to feel I'm alienating anybody or pushing anybody out because they can't do it. So I want to learn how to play like that, but I can't afford that lesson. It's like, that makes me cringe. I don't like the idea of that. I like the idea of being able to kind of like share information, teaching guitar information freely through YouTube. I like that more, and I'm really gutted about Article 13 coming in and saying, no, we're going to copyright you if you do songs. Because I wanted to teach so many more songs. I wanted to teach a load of Rory Gallagher songs, Peter Green songs, John Frusciante songs, Jimi Hendrix songs. It really annoyed me I can't finish my Voodoo Child series on Jimi Hendrix. That really gets my go. Because there's so much to learn in that song, and there's so much Jimmy does in that song, which is just so cool. Maybe I could do a lesson on Jimi Hendrix Voodoo Child techniques. Maybe if I don't play the song and just show the techniques, I might be able to get away with it. Maybe that might be an idea. But it's really annoying. But I don't know. I don't like the idea of doing like a teaching course where you got to kind of, if it was like a guitar clinic or like one-to-one, I can kind of get that. But like where we are at this point in time, I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird contradiction, that, but it's really difficult to answer that question. It just feels wrong to kind of like be like all of a sudden like, oh right, yeah, if you want me to teach you this, you have to pay for it, kind of thing. That I don't. Horrible. It feels weird. Doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right at all. I don't know. I don't know if any of that made any sense, people with a tube. I really do apologise if that didn't make any sense, but I can't help the way I feel about that, if that makes any sense. It's a real strong feeling that, like, you know, if you're gonna like start charging for something that was free in the first place, it's kind of a bit wrong. I don't know. I can understand teaching one-to-one, and I can understand guitar clinics being charged because there's overheads and there's stuff like that. And then one-to-one teaching, you know, it's your time and stuff like that. I totally get that. But if you've got loads of free lessons, and then you say, "Oh, I'm going to charge you X amount now for the next one," it is alienating people because certain people won't be able to afford that. You know what I mean? You know, not everybody not everyone can afford that kind of thing. So I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes any sense, everybody, but it does feels wrong to me to be able to kind of to do that kind of thing. It's a bit like it just doesn't sit well with me at all. I'd much rather share certain information that I can now with the new copyright law freely. Certain kind of like techniques and tricks and certain other bits and pieces. I like the idea of being free to openly share it with everyone, throughout the world. It's here if you want it, and there's no strings attached to it, kind of thing. I like the feel of that more. It just feels more honest and more genuine to me. It just feels more, than, give me your money. You know what I mean? I don't know. I am a terrible salesman. I am literally the worst salesman in the world. Like, I can't. I don't know. Like, oh, you need to push your brand. I can't. I'm useless at that kind of thing. I am literally useless at anything like that. Oh, you need to do this and you need to do that. I can't force that kind of thing, and it feels wrong. If I wouldn't like it, I wouldn't expect anybody else to, kind of thing. But anyway, I think I've waffled on about that enough. I don't know if any of that made any sense, but I'm going to have to move on though, because I'm going to run out of time otherwise. So hope some of that made sense. I don't know if any of it made sense, but I hope maybe there's something in there. Okay, so moving on to question 4 now. Question 4 is: can you explain why you think the Boss CE5 is the best option for a John Frusciante type of chorus? I don't think that's the best type of chorus for John. I think any chorus you can get John Frusciante-esque kind of things out of it. As long as the chorus pedal choruses, you've got John Frusciante. There's not many chorus pedals I've ever plugged into where I've struggled to get that kind of John Frusciante chorus tone, because if your cleanish John tone is there in the first place, the chorus just lays on the top of that. Your core cleanish John tone is more important than the chorus tone. Because I really love the chorus tone I get out of my Zoom pedal. I really love that, and I've tried other chorus pedals as well. The CE5 is a great chorus pedal. The chorus ensemble is gorgeous. My uncle's got one. It's a great chorus pedal. But it's not the be-all and end-all. Same as the CE1 chorus pedal. It's not the be-all and end-all for John Frusciante. It's really not. Any chorus pedal will pretty much do the job. It really will. It's just the way you use it. And also, like I say, it comes down to that core tone, that cleanish tone of John. You need that. You need that before that, so to say, because one will influence the other. If you don't have the cleanish tone, the chorus tone might be a bit weird. But if you've got the cleanish John tone, then the chorus will just sit on top, and behave itself and do what it needs to do. But I don't think the CE5 is the best. I don't think there is such a thing. I really don't think. I don't think the CE1 is the best. I don't think the CE1 is that important, to be perfectly honest. I think there's far too much emphasis put on the CE1 and not enough emphasis put on the WH10 and the Boss DS2, and especially the DS2. It's like, don't go out and buy a fuzz pedal for John Frusciante's tone. Don't go out and buy a DS1. You need a DS2. That is, out of all the pedals that are really important to get John's tone, I feel like, you need that kind of crunchy, kind of cleanish tone. You need the Ibanez wah or something like a Vox wah that you can boost. And then you need the DS2. The DS2, I think, is probably the most important John pedal, because you can kind of get around the WH10, but you can't get around the DS2. The DS2 is, it is what it is. So But the CE5, yeah, is a good chorus pedal. But you know, any kind of chorus pedal will do the John thing if you've got the right core tone in the first place. You know, I really do feel that, and that's what I've experienced in the past. So, so yeah, I mean the CE5 is great, but you know, it's nothing that the Zoom G2 can't do, or any other chorus pedal can't do. You know, chorus is chorus at the end of the day. You know, and as long as you have like that core John tone in the first place, then you know you're away. You know, you don't need to have a, you know, the CE1 or the CE5 or the whatever. You know what I mean? As long as it's a chorus pedal, it'll work. But you need the core John tone there in the first place. Otherwise, it doesn't. They don't match up. So so yeah. So I hope that's the question. Any chorus pedal will do, as long as it does choruses. As long as it's as long as it's a really nice, deep, rich chorus tone, you're away. But you need that core John tone in the first place. Okay, so hope that's the question. Moving on to question 5 now, and I'm gonna have to crack on because I'm running out of time on the camera. Okay, so question 5. Can you recommend a replacement tremolo for my Squier Affinity Strat? I have a worry because the body is thin. Okay, I know what you mean, because Squier Affinity, well, Squier bodies can be really thin. The Affinity bodies are thinner than normal. It shouldn't matter too much. What matters more than anything when changing out the tremolo is the screws in the tremolo. The screws there, the 6-in-a-line screws that hold the tremolo down, the spacing of that is the important part. So, the tremolo I would recommend is, the one that I really like is a Wilkinson tremolo. It's the one that comes standard with like the V6, the vintage V6, and they're really amazing tremolos. They're gorgeous tremolos. They're a big block. You shouldn't have too much of an issue with the big block in the Affinity. The cavity in the back should be big enough, but I would worry about the screw spacing because I'm not sure if it'd line up. In which case, hang on a minute. But yeah, it's the Wilkinson. I don't know if it's got a number. Let me just quickly look. And I can get you the actual. Oh, I can't spell. Okay, so yeah, it's oh, not that one. Where is it? There it is. It's the vintage one. Okay, so it's a steel block one. It's it's $32.99 as I can see here on Google. And it's a proper steel block tremolo, and it's amazing. I've got one on my vintage V6 Icon, and I actually have a spare, just in case. It's just in case any of my tremolos go. I've got that one, and I know I've checked its spacing; it fits all my guitars. Where it will to the Squier thing, I don't know, but there is ways around that. But it's the Wilkinson Vintage Tremolo WV6, the WV6, and I say you can find it on Google. And it's one with the folded steel saddles. That's one I would recommend because it's absolutely awesome. And it doesn't have a screw-in thing. It's got like a little Allen key grub screw where you can tighten the tremolo, and the tremolo arm, you put it where it wants to be. You're never going to worry about it kind of threading out or anything like that. And it's just amazing. And you got a steel block as well, which does change the sound of a guitar for the better. But I would worry about the spacing on the 6 screws that hold it down. However, if you do go for this tremolo, it's what I would recommend. People of a tube, if you would recommend any other replacement tremolo for a Squier Affinity, what would it be? Let us know in the comment section below if there's any other tremolo for this guy to check out. This is the one I would recommend, but I'm sure there's plenty others. But I really like these ones. Again, creature of habit thing. But what I would do, if the screw spacing was wrong, what I would do is I would get wooden dowels and I would fill the original holes. I would wood glue them in, fill them in, and then I'd wood glue the dowels in, fill them in, sand them flat, and then I'll drill new holes and make sure obviously the tremolo was lined up. That's what I would do, is basically start from scratch. But it might be it might just work. It might just work. But if it doesn't, you might have to go like the extra kind of the mile, so to say, to kind of like to fill in the original holes, and then drill new ones. It's an easy job. It's not a hard job to do. It's fairly simple as long as you take your time with it. Give the glue a good amount of that. Give the glue a good 2 days to dry and cure, so it is hard as rock. Because normal wood glue is harder than the wood anyway, so it normally it's solid. I would recommend doing something like that. But like I say, people with tube, if there's any other tremolos that you could recommend as direct replacements for a Squier Affinity tremolo, let us know in the comment section below. That would be mine. I say the Wilkinson Vintage Tremolo WV6. I absolutely love that one, and it's a steel block as well, which is really, really good. And I do like steel block tremolos. They just have a different sound to them. They just add a bit of snap to the sound. It's really cool. Anyway, that'd be the one I'd recommend. But yeah, the thinner body shouldn't worry you too much. They're normally quite robust. And it should fit in the cavity quite nicely. If not, you might just have to Dremel a little bit out. But I'd highly doubt it'd be a lot, even if you do at all. You know what I mean? It should fit in quite nicely. But again, the only issue is those 6 screws that hold it in place. But yeah. But like I say, people with tube, help us out on this one. Okay, so I hope it's a question. Going to move on to final question 8. Question 6, which I need the paper for, Dave. Okay, so question 6, which I'm going to have to answer fairly sharpish, which could be a problem because this is setting me up to a ramble. But question 6 is, how did you learn to solo, and was it all by feel? Was there anything you used that gave you any insight, and was there a particular instructor you worked with? I didn't work with a teacher, no. I'm self-taught. I'm a self-taught guitarist, so I didn't have any teachers. I learned it all myself, mainly. I had certain people pointing me in certain directions, but it was down to me more than anything. Because when I learned to play guitar, there was YouTube didn't exist, and I didn't go down the guitar teacher line. I just didn't do it. I'd much prefer to teach myself, because I learned my own way, which I recommend highly, because everyone learns differently. So. But how did I learn to solo? It was just a case of mimicking. I learned Jimi Hendrix solos. I learned John Frusciante solos. I learned Slash's guitar solos. I learned Rory Gallagher's guitar solos. I learned Billy Joe's guitar solos. Not that he had many, but he had a few. I learned loads of guitar solos. That's all I did. And then from that, I just dived in to improvisation. Just dived feet first. And it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. For years, my guitar playing improvisation was awful. I had no technique to it. But eventually you learn. I learned Yngwie Malmsteen solos as well. But eventually you kind of learn. But it takes years. It's not something that happens in a month or a week or or 1 year. It takes years and years of practice to be able to solo confidently and to a point where it makes sense. You know what I mean? I feel that it's only in the last 2 or 3, 4, maybe about 4, 5, 6 years, my guitar soloing has actually started to make sense. I feel before that it was just this kind of craziness. It was a lot of fast guitar playing. Recently, I'm starting to feel that I'm starting to go in a direction that I want to go in, so to say, instead of kind of being led in the wrong direction, so to say. But it takes years. I've been playing guitar 17 years, and I first started to learn to want to do guitar solos in my 2nd year of playing guitar. I wanted to be like John Frusciante, I wanted to be like Yngwie Malmsteen, and I wanted to be like Jimi Hendrix. So I started learning their guitar solos note for note first. And then after a couple of years of learning their solos note for note, I wanted to start making my own up and figuring out my own way out. And I have tapes to prove how terrible my playing was. But it's just perseverance and just keep going and going and going and going and going and going. And it takes years. There's no quick fix. Is there anything that gave me insight? Just studying people like John Frusciante. Like I said, I've studied John Frusciante for 17 years and I understand his playing. I've studied him for 17 years. And I still only feel I'm about 50-60% there to understanding him. I don't feel like I'm any close. Really very close. But 5 positions of a pentatonic scale opened my eyes, but I didn't know they were pentatonic until I was told that's what I was doing. I just figured out notes and what worked, And I've spoke about that before, where I just went down the fretboard, each string, to find out what notes worked. And when I had these shapes in my head, I found I could move them into different keys, and then I couldn't get lost because I knew where I was. But it does take years, and then feel comes years after that. You know, there is no quick way around this. There's no quick way to learn to solo or improvise or have feel. It just happens. And you've just got to go at it and go at it and go at it and go at it, and eventually it just happens, and all of a sudden it's there. You know, it just takes time. You know, you just got to set yourself up for the long run, really. And that's not normally the answer people want to hear, but that is the honest answer, is it takes years. It's not a quick fix. You're not going to be able to do it in a year. You might not be able to do it in 2 or 3. You know, it took me... It's only in the last maybe 5 or 6 years I felt that I can really emote through the guitar, which means if I've been playing guitar 17 years and it's only in the 6 years I've been able to start doing that, it means it took me 11 years to get to be able to feel and play what I feel. What I feel. You know what I mean? And I still don't feel I'm anywhere near. There's still many, 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 many more years I've got to put in to be able to really emote how I feel. It's still not 100% there. I'm not happy with it. I've got to get better. So there is no quick answer to that. It's just learn other people's solos and just dive in feet first and just see what happens. It's going to be messy. It's going to sound bad. It's going to sound rubbish. But that's how you learn. And you need to make mistakes. The more mistakes you can make, the better and the quicker you will learn. You know, you need to be making mistakes all the time to realise what doesn't work, you know. You don't learn if you don't make mistakes, especially on guitar, or in anything in life, really. That's kind of runs in life. I'm going to get heavy on you there. But no, seriously, if you don't make mistakes, you're not going to learn. You need to be a mistake. And you also need to be a sponge. If somebody says, oh, I can help you improve on this, don't shoot them down. Accept the help. You don't have to listen. You have to listen, but you don't have to take it on board if you don't feel it's going to help you. But listen to everything that's told to you. That's what I wanted to say. I'm getting all mixed up. My dyslexic brain. You don't have to take it on board, but you have to listen to everything. Listen to what people are telling you. Listen to what they're doing. If you feel it's not for you, ditch it. But if you feel it is for you, absorb it. You know what I mean? One way or another. But be open to everything. You have to be open to everything. You have to be open to criticism. You know, you have to be open to criticism. When people are getting nasty with you, ignore it. If they're just going to get nasty and aggressive and horrible, they ain't trying to help you. They're just trying to force their opinion on you. Whereas, if they're really genuine trying to help you and they're trying to give you really good advice, be open to it. I could talk about this for absolutely hours. I might have to do a video on this separately because this is going to take... I'm running out of time rapidly now and I don't have the time to talk about it in as much depth as I'd like. But just be a sponge. Absorb everything that's given to you and accept it. You don't have to accept it as gospel. It might not work for you. But you have to listen, you have to be open to it because you never know. You never know. So... And I say learning other people's solos and studying your favourite guitarists is paramount. It really, to me anyway, this whole thing of, oh, don't try and be like your heroes. No, do try and be like your heroes. Because in the immortal words of Mr. John Mayer, who said the best line ever about this, is you sound like yourself when you fail to sound like your heroes. I cannot think of a better way to describe that. That is perfect. He hit the nail on the head. Because like he says, you know, you do sound like yourself when you fail to sound like, you know, I sound the way I sound because I'm failing to sound like John Frusciante. You know what I mean? But that gives you your own sound, that gives you your own voice. I'm not saying I've got my own style or my own voice because I don't, but that's what I want. And it does come from failing to sound like your heroes, you know. But, you know, I don't know. But you've got to tread your own path. You do have to walk your own path. You've got to find your way that works for you. Everyone learns in their own way, and you have to find the way that works for you. This is why I'm self-taught, because my way of learning would have never worked in a classroom environment. And it didn't. When I was studying in London, it didn't work for me. I didn't, I learned stuff, but I didn't learn half as much as what I learned from when I was being self-taught, when I'm teaching myself. And I think being dyslexic has something to do with that as well. But anyway, I'm gonna stop it there because I'm rapidly running out of time on the camera and I've got to stop. And I want to say goodbye. But anyway, I hope that's answered at least a part of your question. I really do hope there's something you can kind of take away from that. But yeah, I hope I've answered your questions okay with people of the tube, and I hope you enjoyed this Q&A. Like I say, if you want to submit for a question for Q&A, please follow the link to my website below. Register yourself on the forum and go to the Ask Dave section, and I just go through them and answer them as I can. So if you want to submit a question, description below. Go to my website, go to the forum, Ask Dave, register yourself, and ask me a question on there, and I will get to it in one of these Q&As. So yeah, I hope that's questions okay. I hope you enjoyed this video, everybody, and I will see you again on Friday. Got a very special video on Friday, but I'm not going to tell you about it just right now. But you will see on Friday. It's a really, really cool video. I haven't filmed it yet, but I can't wait to go and do it. And yeah, it should be good fun. It should be really cool. So I'm looking forward to it. So I will see you again on Friday, everybody. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. Bye bye now. Thank you very much for watching.